What up? What up? What up? Rec League Podcast, man. This is episode number 19. It drops on or a little after Father's Day, so I have entitled it Father's Day. And keeping up with all of my episode titles being movies, Father's Day is a comedy from the 90s starring Robin Williams and Billy Crystal and Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld. I'm actually about to watch that later. But on this episode, my guy Eric Sigmund, E-Sig, what up? My guy Nick Goodman, they pop in. We talk about the whole X-Men franchise, the highs, the lows, the great movies, the bad movies, as much of it as we could fit in. The NBA Finals are over. I will discuss the NBA Finals, and there was a recent trade in the NBA that I will touch on. And then I got some bars for y'all, man, because there's a couple albums that I want discussed on the show. Legacy and or Old Man Lawrence have heard those. They were unavailable. I want them to talk about them. I haven't had the time to check those out. So I'm going to end the episode with some bars. That's how I do. And next episode, I'll get one of them two dudes on. We'll talk about some hip-hop albums, like that Coda the Friend that I was talking about. Had a couple dope tracks last episode if you were able to check that out. Well, if you got the Anchor app, man, however you listen to your podcast, man, however you get your podcast fixed, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Spotify, Breaker, Stitcher, Anchor, spread the word, man. Rec League Podcast, man, share it with your friends, listen to it on road trips, however you get your podcast fixed, like I said, man. If you on YouTube, continue to watch, continue to share, man. It's all appreciated. So I'm gonna get right in to the poll questions I had over the past couple weeks. And May ended, June began. So I do my customary monthly, you know what I'm saying, what you looking forward to, what was your favorite? My choices for May were John Wick, Aladdin, Booksmart, Rocket Man. John Wick wins this at 60%. Aladdin got 18, which, Aladdin was divisive. I thought it was really fun, but I heard a lot of complaints too. Rocket Man got 13, and Booksmart got 9. I heard Booksmart is phenomenal, so I assume Booksmart just didn't get a higher percentage because a lot of people probably haven't seen it. So go check it out. Let me know how it is so I can go see that. On the June, my choices were Dark Phoenix, Men in Black International, Toy Story 4, and Yesterday. And at a slim 35%, Toy Story 4 wins this. Dark Phoenix, shockingly, I might have posted this around the time the negative buzz started for Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix got 33% though. Men in Black got 24. Yesterday got 8. Again, maybe a lot of people haven't heard about Yesterday. Like, it's directed by the dude who did Slumdog Millionaire, who did 127 hours, 28 days later, Danny Boyle. Like, he bailed on the new James Bond movie to direct this. So I mean, he obviously had faith in something. And then I posted late. Because Dark Phoenix came out and I thought it was a cool question. What's your favorite X-Men movie, man? Obviously, you could vote on the whole franchise, but my choices were X2, X-Men Days of Future Past, Deadpool, and Logan. Logan wins with 39%. Days of Future Past got 31. Deadpool got 23. And X2 got 7, which is bananas to me because I just rewatched the whole series, the whole X-Men series. I didn't rewatch any Wolverines or Deadpool. I did Deadpool last year. I did the Wolverines before Logan came out. And X2 still holds up. X2 is still money. And there were some replies on this, man, but they are not coming up. So I think there were a couple comments for First Class. There were a couple comments, like, I know Nick Goodman was on Twitter and voted X2. He dropped a comment. But that is it for the poll questions. I'll do a Toy Story related, Pixar related. I might do the same thing I did for How to Train Your Dragon, like you know, preview for the poll question on the Twitter page. I might do a what's your favorite Pixar franchise? Because there's Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Nemo, Incredibles, Cars. There's a lot to choose from. Um, and then Child's Play comes out. So segue. Recently, if you listen or watch the show but just can't get to the theater like that or don't know what's coming out, last weekend Men in Black International came out. Um, Shaft came, Shaft came out. That's my bad. That's super rude. Um, the both reviews are on my channel. Like one was, I ain't gonna tell y'all which one, man. One was enjoyable, but like didn't like break any new ground for the genre or anything. And one I was let down in. Watch my reviews, y'all figure out which one. And maybe the directors of each movie just should have like traded, even though it's different studios. F. Gary should have maybe done Shaft, and Tim Story should have maybe done Men in Black. But I don't hire actors, directors, what have you, producers. Um, and the week before that, Dark Phoenix came out. The Secret Life of Pets 2 came out. Reviews for all four of those are on my reviews. Yo, yeah. If anybody out there has seen The Dead Don't Die, I want to know how that is. Drop a comment. Hit me with a voice message. It will be recited, repeated on wax next episode. And Toy Story 4, the Child's Play remake. The Child's Play remake that nobody wanted, but everybody knew was coming eventually, comes out next weekend. Not my flavor, but I'm not going to ignore that it's releasing. Annabelle Comes Home comes out Wednesday the 26th. Yesterday, where the dude like wakes up and nobody knows that the Beatles ever existed, comes out the 28th. And then I won't shout what comes out after that because I think I'll have another episode out. And coming out on Blu-ray and DVD this Tuesday is Us. The Jordan Peele directed Us. That was like the first movie that I saw after my medical situation, and I thought it was phenomenal. I don't think it's better than Get Out, but I think it's really good. And then another movie that didn't come here that I might try to blind buy, the Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey comes out, and I'm curious. But if it doesn't come out, like I'm not gonna like if my Walmart, like it's coming out. But if Walmart doesn't get it, like I'm not gonna like instantly go to Amazon and try to hunt it down. I want to see it, but like I'm not dying to see it. You know what I mean? This past week, Captive State came out. The Rupert Wyatt directed, I think, Alien Invasion movie. I haven't seen it. I'm gonna watch it in a couple days. Captain Marvel came out. Orange is the New Black season 6 came out. Leprechaun Returns came out, and then the week before that, I think that was like week. You know what I'm saying? Like that Tuesday, I like bought like some upgrades and stuff. I got the Jack Ryan Amazon show. The Shout Factory put Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie out. I grabbed that. Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is really fun, especially if you're like invested in those franchises. And then I'm doing this all the way out of order, man. But Dumbo, the Tim Burton directed Dumbo, comes out the week after, next Tuesday. Like this upcoming Tuesday, Us comes out, Beach Bum comes out. The following Tuesday, Dumbo comes out. So dig that. When I return, Mr. Eric Sigmund, Mr. Nick Goodman will be with me. We will be discussing the entire X-Men franchise, man. Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere, man. Rec League Podcast. Okay, as promised, it was no show last weekend, so this weekend we're kind of going to do in memoriam, maybe talk more about the happy times of the 20-year, 20th Century Fox kind of exists, but we'll see because I don't think Disney has fully financed a Fox distributed movie yet. So we're going to talk about the X-Men movies from X-Men Bryan Singer 2000 to Dark Phoenix, the ever divisive Dark Phoenix that just recently came out. I thought it was like this. It's weird. Like I thought it was cool. I didn't really hate it. But Eric, your review on Instagram, I feel like I agree with probably like 95% of it. Like it's crazy. I think my favorite X-Men related movie, and we're including like Rec League Rule, we're including Deadpool. I've seen so many people. I feel like Deadpool is in its own kind of world. No,
it's part of
yes.
Yeah.
Deadpool exists even for that cameo that spoiled Dark Phoenix, but it didn't. My favorite movie's Logan. Nick replied on Twitter. I know his. I'm gonna let him say it.
Well, like, okay, Logan is pretty much not the only one, but like Logan, like people tell me it's Logan, and I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to me, like when I give I say like my favorite X-Men movie, I always say X2,
which is phenomenal.
Like, yeah, it's just the best example of an X-Men movie to me. It's like picking a random Harry Potter movie. It's like some of them are probably better than others, but like if you're looking for an example of what to show someone, I usually pick the fourth one. But like X2 just works. Like it took what was good about the first one, which again, like the first one could have been this disaster in the year 2000. Like the pieces might just not have come to place, and it just would have been trash. But it worked, and instead of just being like, if it ain't broke, they really like it was like they examined what worked and amplified what worked instead of just adding more. Like the X-Men that they added to the story made sense. Like Nightcrawler being there made sense. I just thought the story was better. The acting was better. Like Jackman is so good next to. So that's what I always say. X2. But like I could be persuaded. There are other great X-Men movies. So like Logan is kind of a masterpiece. Like Logan might be the best, but I'm like it's like best versus favorite kind of deal. So I'm like X2 is the one that always ends up.
I have 5 copper coins for you to say Days of Future Past is the best right now.
Days of Future Past. The thing about Days of Future Past is that it's the best X-Men movie, and it's my favorite X-Men movie, and always has been. So now I get 5 points. So
I lied.
Days of Future Past, when I saw it in the theater, I was like, that was it. I was like,
I was blown away.
Comic book movie of all time. And then on rewatches, it just never like was as good to me. Like, sucks. It's still great, and it's still like top 5 of them all. But it's like rewatching it, like knowing what happens. Like it was never quite as great the second or third or 500th time I've watched it. But X2 is always good. Like the ending of X2 gets me like every time. Like I'm like, God, they did that.
And Eric, your favorite in the whole universe is Dark Phoenix, correct?
Yeah, okay. But to piggyback off a lot of good points Nick made, he said about Logan. Obviously, Logan is a masterpiece, and it's really, and that probably have to be the best movie pound for pound, but the best example of an X-Men movie. Say if you wanted to bring somebody blind into the X-Men 20th Century Fox universe, I was going to say X2, which is a good one, but I'm going to have to say,
Origins.
And I'm going to throw something else in. I'm going to have to say Days of Future Past, but Days of Future Past, the Rogue cut.
I like the Rogue cut. Mm-hmm. I watched it the first time before Apocalypse, and I was like, why wasn't this good?
Exactly. It's really, like, in the day and age of 2.5 hour, 3 hour superhero movies, I think they should have left that footage in. I think that footage makes the movie stronger. And it gives, it gives you more of your favorite characters, older Magneto, and of course it brings Rogue actually into the movie.
Yeah.
And
that's because Ackland's name is in the credits.
She's like sixth build.
Like a regular movie, and she's in it for not even
The theatrical version is like, oh, hey, and
she's at the end when everything's fixed.
Right. And I think what Days of Future Past does real well is, you spoke of the characters in X2, but Days of Future Past, because it hops from the future and if you have a favorite character in the movie, well, unless it's Rogue in the theatrical cut, the character is there and given something to do. It's pretty cool. And it's just a well-made movie. The Quicksilver kitchen scene.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you how important, I don't care about Bryan Singer's personal life. That's whatever. But it goes to show you how well being a good director can lend itself to material like this. Because Dark Phoenix, like I said, Simon Kinberg, dude, your first directorial project shouldn't be a $200 million movie. Direct a commercial. Go direct something to hone your skills. See, I'm good at this. I'm good at this. And, everybody can't be, well, it's a big example. I'm sorry. Everybody can't be Orson Welles. And, use a small example. Everybody can't be Jordan Peele.
Yeah.
And but Jordan Peele, I'm getting off X-Men, look at the Key and Peele skits. Look how those are some very well filmed skits, like cinematic style, but it's goofy comedy. Peele had experience. That's what I mean. Kinberg get some experience.
So you wanted Jessica Chastain to have a coffee cup and just run a spoon around it?
But that would have been more entertaining than anything in that movie.
Bro, she was so wasted.
Yeah. But anyway, Days of Future Past, I think that's the ultimate X-Men as a group movie.
Yeah.
Logan is very centered on, a few characters. Still a great movie, but I have to say that as far as the X-Men, Days of Future Past. And the Road cut, if you haven't seen it at all, I say hop into that one.
Cool. Now I'm curious if we all three have different least favorite X-Men movies. I'm gonna go with Origins because Deadpool wasn't Deadpool, and studio tampering could have been better. It was my introduction to Bone Claws. Never been a fan. Yeah, I don't want to talk about Origins that much. It's just my least favorite X-Men movie.
I'll talk about Origins all day. Wolverine is my least favorite. But, I don't hate it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where it's you see enough bad movies, like unwatchably bad movies, that it's movies that are just known to be bad just aren't that bad, like Batman and Robin, stuff like that. I'm I'll still watch Batman and Robin. It's not a good movie, but I'll watch it. So when I'm doing an X-Men marathon, I'm not dreading getting to Origins. Yeah. It works more as a comedy than it does as a serious dramatic story.
Indeed.
It does some things right. Casting Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, 10 years ago, I was so stoked on that. I was no, that's so awesome. And there was no indication that he was gonna be the Deadpool. It was just Wade Wilson. And it was swords. I was that's pretty cool. And they showed young Cyclops and all this stuff, and I was oh, they're gonna dig into all kinds of weird stuff in this movie. And it just didn't make sense. I don't. The whole thing is why. He meets young Cyclops and Sabretooth and all this, and it's why don't they know him in the original X-Men?
Yeah.
Same with Apocalypse, they have that encounter with Wolverine running through the hallways and all that shit, and they're I hope we don't see that guy again. It's when you recognize him as soon as he walked in the door, you're oh, that's that one guy that I met that did all that crazy shit. But one of the weird things about Origins is how the effects are for 2009. That's one of my more glaring. Even the story. There's so much silly stuff in it, but it's the effects. I don't understand why the effects were so much weaker in that than like The Last Stand was like 3 years prior and like had way better effects, like way better everything.
And one that stands out, I gotta throw this in. You talk about the effects. One of the most important scenes in the movie. One of the scenes that could have had that dramatic boom, but it's just falls dead because wow, look at these Super Nintendo claws. The scene in the bathroom, when he's like, they couldn't have not just written that. It should have been a really great scene, and then he gets to clean them. Like, oh, it's just cringe. Like you want to sink into your seat. It went from what could have been a great scene to just like, why didn't y'all spend?
Yeah, like $5 more.
Right.
Like,
it was just terrible.
And like even in 2009, I was thinking it's not like this is aged poorly. Like sitting in the theater in 2009, there's the scene where I think he's like messing around with Gambit in the alleyway, and there's
fire
like
escape
ladder, and like destroying the ladder, and it's so trash. Like it's like hard to watch. It's like Spawn, like.
It's like Spawn.
It's like, oh man, it like looks like it's from like another decade. Like some of it is so bad. But like, I'd be lying through my teeth if I said I hated the movie. Like I'd probably give it, which is pretty generous. Like I'd probably give it a 3 out of like 5 because I think like it does good things. I think Hugh Jackman is good in it, like as good as pretty much ever. And, like, they had fun with the character. It was just, like, so unnecessary. Like, I don't understand why they never tried to make Gambit work in an X-Men movie other than that. Like, why didn't they just do it?
My favorite unmade X-Men movie is definitely Channing Tatum's Gambit.
Yeah.
Like, when they announced that 100 years ago, like, I Channing Tatum, but like now as time has gone on, I was like, he'd have probably been fine. He'd have been as good as the dude that did it.
Was it Taylor Kitsch? Yeah.
Which like I liked him from Friday Night Lights anyway, so I was like, that was another thing. I was like stoked he was in the movie.
Yeah,
like he was fine. It was just kind of like, why didn't they? It was just more questions and no answer. It was like,
it was just like Gambit's popular. Let's put him in it.
Yeah, like why did they do that to Deadpool? Like why? Who made that decision and then passed it down to who? And they looked at it and were like, yes.
It's actually known the person who made that specific decision.
I think you about to say what I was thinking.
Yeah, the name isn't worth. But I read an article. Yeah, it was one person's specific decision to sew his mouth shut at the end. And
okay, that's not what I was thinking.
But go ahead. I'm curious what you think.
I thought I heard. I might be tripping, or I might have my facts messed up. But didn't Ryan Reynolds like want to bail or like hate the script or something? And then they told him, they was like, dude, like we're not gonna give you a solo movie unless you do this.
Yeah, that's true.
Persistence and sticking with it, leaking test footage, eventually got him 2 great Deadpool movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, the thing is, what got Ryan Reynolds on the project is kind of what Nick was saying. They gave him the script just with Wade Wilson. That Baraka version of Deadpool wasn't in the script, and he signed
Weapon 11.
Right, Weapon 11. And that's how they trapped him. He was like, "Yeah, this isn't this," and it was just all jacked up behind the scenes, on the screen. When the screen is off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And even like the build up to it. It's like if you didn't know, like I saw that movie in the theater with like one of my friends who was like, she was like a massive X-Men fan. And I was like, oh cool, so am I. So like we were like excited for it, and then we were like we kind of gave each other the face, like what the fuck? Face. But like it was almost like if you didn't know anything about Deadpool, which was very possible in 2009, like if you were just a casual movie,
that's how I was.
Like even like the build up to that, like it would have been like, they'd have been like, Wade, is that you? And they'd have been like, who? Oh, the guy from the beginning. Like that, like it was like this unnecessary build up. like that showdown.
Yeah.
It's like he hasn't been in the whole movie. He was in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
Everyone else in that scene died, and it's like you got this build up. It's like finally,
Yeah, just
Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman fight I've always wanted in 2009.
and you know something? No, I'm sorry, Nick.
No,
A little interesting thing about that is the up close shots of Weapon 11 is Ryan Reynolds. All the boom shots.
yeah.
The fighting shots and the long shots is my boy Scott Adkins.
Mm-hmm. I did know.
And yeah, and I just thought that was a really cool tidbit. But
It's also random. Like, why?
yeah,
Why do people to do that? Like,
yeah, this is
it's
and
just bad decisions.
And speaking on another point you make, Nick, if you did not know anything about Deadpool, and I give you a great example of that, if this movie was an introduction to Deadpool, a friend of mine who was a rapper, aspiring rapper, his rapping alias is Wade Wilson. Was, I don't know if it is anymore, but I'm like,
after he
why
saw
Wade
Origins,
Wilson?
he bailed on that.
Yeah.
And I asked him, why Wade Wilson? So I wasn't the hugest Deadpool comic book fan, but I knew about him. And so I asked my friend, why is your rap name Wade Wilson? And he was like, well, Wade Wilson, his superpowers is he can absorb other people's superpowers. And I'm like, dude, that's not Wade Wilson's superpowers. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, I know why you're thinking this is. You saw that dumbass movie. I'm like, that's not his. And I'm like, wow, you out here with a.
Fired someone to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't positive.
See,
He's
case in
serves
point,
as a rapper, but
like-
Bumps up my ranking.
This episode need to be sent off to any studio with a comic book movie property. Wade Wilson in X-Men Origins Wolverine is when taking liberties with characters goes wrong.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Do that. Like, it's insane that like.
Y'all ruining hip hop.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I guess as far as mine, it's, you know what? It's actually X-Men Apocalypse.
Thought you were going
It's
somewhere
like-
else.
It was a
It's
dramatic.
it's Origins right there, but you know what? Origins has some redeeming moment. The beginning scenes with the wars and all that, and the montage. I'm sorry, that was really good. That's good. That was perfect. It was good editing and filmmaking, and like I said, Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I think this is when, he was good as Wolverine. I think when he was at his peak, because this is the first movie where Jackman was jacked.
Yeah.
Man, it is where he was cuts everywhere and he was just shredded. to
Yeah.
a T.
When he comes out like full
He comes out
adamantium
the
for the
water,
first
yeah.
time, yeah.
And you look at stuff like that, and it's a very bad movie. But it's the post-it note. It's the studio post-it note type bad.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
like,
mean?
I thought like Lynn Collins was good in her role. I thought Danny Houston was good. But just overall it was just like the studio ruined Origins.
But the Back to Apocalypse is after you follow up Days of Future Past and you fix, quote unquote, the timeline with everything else that's messed up, and you do it in a movie as great as Days of Future Past, then you come with Apocalypse. Now, Apocalypse, the character, who's my boy, Oscar Isaac,
Yeah.
right? All right, it's supposed to be Apocalypse, the badass, and skip it back to Days of Future Past, the end credit sequence. That was when they showed Apocalypse building the pyramids, right?
Yeah.
And that was an awesome. Even though he had he looked kind of malnourished, he was kind of skinny. Apocalypse did.
For sure.
I thought it was a girl for like the whole and then like when it was over, I thought, oh, there was like the horsemen and like
Right, the four horsemen.
That's what their teeth is.
Yeah.
I was like, who's that?
Yeah,
Who's that
that's a
lady?
good point. But no,
Most people are like, what are they
Apocalypse in the movie,
chanting?
But he in the Apocalypse movie, the character, and I saw it first. I'm like, yeah, okay. Then I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute. This supposedly badass character doesn't do anything through the movie but give everybody makeovers.
That's
Think
true.
about it.
Like,
Psylocke and
I'm gonna need you to stop
Oscar
pointing out stuff that I thought was cool, and then yeah, that's really all he did was
yeah, it's Apocalypse.
here, Angel. Here's
let
new
me
wings.
Throw some, and he doesn't do anything. And in the movie itself, he ruins when he shows up one of the more awesome scenes that we thought was gonna happen when Magneto was in the steel mill and he's like, I want you to remember everybody you love.
Yeah.
And think down, I'm like, man. And then, hey, Apocalypse, come on. You know what I mean?
Be the fourth one.
Yeah, and that was just a badass scene. The tension and the suspense in that scene, like, man, is because Michael Fassbender is.
I swear, yeah. That's where I was going.
Awesome work.
Fassbender and McAvoy.
Yeah. But no, Apocalypse, it was just. And of course, it has the one great scene with Quicksilver.
Yeah.
That's it. And when you put a scene like that in the movie and then you follow it up with.
See, that's what I said about Dark Phoenix. Like, spoilers for Dark Phoenix. So, I thought Simon Kinberg just didn't want to do the same thing Bryan Singer did. So, like you said on Instagram, like, Quicksilver is pretty much wasted. Because I just think Kinberg didn't want to have a badass Quicksilver scene.
Right. I understand that, but you don't have to, mix it up a little bit. Just, I don't want to do what was in the other movies, so I'm going to do nothing with him.
Yeah. I'm going to break his leg. If I break his leg, he can't run.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's to me what the originals did with Cyclops. It was like to me, Cyclops has never had
a moment
good run. Like they've just it's like they don't know how to do that character. Like even in X2, which I think is fantastic, like James Marsden's Cyclops is like very sidelined. Almost like they were like, he's kind of annoying.
Because he goes with Professor X.
Why did you make it good?
Yeah. He goes with Professor X. Professor X gets abducted, and he's just off to the side.
Yeah, just taken out.
I swear, for the past 20 years, I feel every studio producer, director, writer's just been like, if we let Cyclops shine, that's 30 seconds, that's a minute, that's 5 minutes where Wolverine takes a back seat. And we all love Wolverine, but he's never had to be like the central figure of this entire universe.
No, let me give you another example about people. Even when they want to do something with Cyclops, it's like, Cyclops is here. More spoilers for Dark Phoenix. When they were trying to save well, you saw it, right? Well, obviously you saw it. You just spoiled it, Nick. So when they were trying,
whatever, I guess. Whatever. Everyone dies.
So the scene at the beginning with the shuttle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're trying to save it. The shuttle was spinning out of control. Like, we got a Nightcrawler. I can't see inside the windows. You got to slow it down so I get inside. So you literally have a person who can control objects with her mind. What do? Cyclops, blast the shuttle to slow it down. Yeah, give him something to do.
Everybody needs something to do. So
it's just
like I catch later. But like in the theater, I'm like, yes, fuck the ship up, like blow it up. Like those are the things like.
Man.
I don't know.
And speaking about it, I'm thinking just changing my choice of the worst X-Men movie because it's just. But what's doing it for Apocalypse is just Apocalypse himself. Is the character should have been super duper bad. That was supposed to be. And you got the what's the name on his tails with Thanos coming up, and you couldn't make Apocalypse just the movie. His name is in the title. Make him worse.
Yeah. See, I think even First Class, Days of Future Past, even Apocalypse. I think there's just so much like great acting between McAvoy and Fassbender that it saves it for me. Dark Phoenix didn't have that. Like they're barely on screen together in Apocalypse. But there's not really like great interaction between McAvoy and Fassbender in Dark Phoenix.
Yeah. And the thing was, I mentioned Fassbender. I think Fassbender could get upset that he chose the wrong shampoo and speak at the shampoo and give a great scene.
Yeah.
It's
Like-
just
That might be on the Blu-ray.
Like, I think in Dark Phoenix, like, there's a lot of good moments. Like, I thought, like, the part after Mystique's funeral, like, where they're sitting at the table.
Beast.
Like, yeah, like,
yeah.
there's good acting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the writing, over almost every turn, like, the writing was just a little weaker than the average X-Men movie. Like, it's just how it was this time. And then, like, it seems like almost every time with Magneto and Charles, like, in these newer ones, it's always like something where he's like, "Hello, old friend," and he's just like, "What are you?" And it's like he almost had that in this one, and he was just like, "Fuck off." He did the thing. He was like, "You always have a speech, and like you're not gonna give a speech this time," which I kind of like that. Like,
Yeah.
this time,
Yeah.
like they've known each other for like 40 years at this point almost. And he
Yeah.
was kind of like, "Fuck off!" Like, I'm gonna go kill her real quick.
Is anybody else annoyed that all 4 of these First Class movies take place 10 years apart and they look just like they did in First
There's
Class?
no reason for this movie to take place in the 90s.
Exactly.
And
Place exactly like right after Apocalypse.
Yeah.
When she came.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
because
like we've aged
she, like-
only 10 years and 40 years, and in the next 10 years we're going to age.
yeah,
It's
when they defeat Apocalypse, she teases like a little Phoenix silhouette,
mhm,
and then
yeah.
10 years later,
Yeah, it's stupid. They really didn't need. They just wanted it to be a gimmick, and I
Yeah.
think it blows up in the face. Like, man, I wish. Yeah, I would age like that. Just
I wonder if there was anybody behind the scenes like, hey, yo, this is 10 years before the original movie. They got to start looking like Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. So go get a coffee.
and
It's like maybe like when they reset the timeline in Days of Future Past. Like I feel like anybody could just write it off with that. Be like,
Yeah.
well, reset it so like they're aging different.
They're gonna age
Like,
slower.
Magneto looks amazing. He's like 50 something at this point. He looks amazing.
He looks like he could marry Alicia Vikander.
Yes.
yeah, it's but no, yeah, that's my choice, Apocalypse. But the more we talk about Dark Phoenix, I'm inching toward, and you know, it's a moment in the movie. I guess we can speak on it. Is now when you write a character, you want to have whatever they do, whatever they say to have motivation for that, right? And there's a scene in the movie which is weak character-wise because I don't think it's true. And Raven, Mystique, and she talks to Professor X, and she says at him while he sits in his wheelchair, "I don't remember the last time you risked anything."
It's been about 10 years.
Yeah. But, you know, it's...
He's like,
But
I'm
we know
bald
what
now.
The next line of the scene is building to. It's not that she doesn't
Let me get that
remember, but it's just, you know, service the story to make, you know, what the characters, to make the character's motivation strong. Don't service anything outside of the story. And that's what that is, and that's why that whole conversation is kind of cringeworthy. You could have made it work simply. But just don't throw it in there because people now, because of what's going on in the real world, want you to throw that in there. And I think that's what makes it weak.
Yeah.
And
The script just as a whole, like just used the fresh coat of paint. Like to me, like I did not hate Dark Phoenix. Like I'm going on record. I think like my rating might have been a little generous, but like I was thinking like I liked Apocalypse more or less. It's like all the weak points that you're talking about like are weak points, but I thought the high points maybe didn't outweigh, but like I thought the high points were in Apocalypse were still really good. Like the whole thing with Magneto and like his family, like I didn't even see that coming.
yeah, that was great.
Like I was like, what is he doing? And like that whole thing was so good to me up until like he met Apocalypse. So then, but Dark Phoenix, I think I was saying about how like my rating for Dark Phoenix was a little generous. I think it worked like enough in almost every aspect, like to just be another one, which I think is what most people have a problem with now, being that it's probably the last one, is they're just like, oh, it just kind of ended with a thud. I'm not saying like if we were gonna keep going with it, like this, it still probably would have been one of the weaker ones. But like, I just think like, and for it to just be the next X-Men movie to me, like, I don't think people are taking the series as seriously anymore now. Like the MCU and all that stuff is so huge. I think like worked enough. Like the story was entertaining. Like I was into it enough with everything that I was like, well, I want to see how they fix this, and I want to see like how this gets resolved. I'm interested in seeing what these bad guys are up to.
Yeah.
I never really did. That's I was kind of like, why are they there?
Yeah.
Like it worked enough. Like I didn't, like, I'm not clawing my eyes out over it, but like I was fine with it. Like it's not even gonna come to mind when I'm thinking of like my worst movies at the end of the year. It's not even gonna.
Top 10? Oh, it better be in there. Top 10 worst movies.
So far this year.
Well, yeah, this year's kind of, yeah. But then again, even in the movie, we talk about performances, and it's not that this performance is a bad one per se. Dark Phoenix is just was Jessica Chastain, was she an alien or a zombie? Because she was acting like a zombie. She seemed very...
That's true.
I don't know.
This is what I wanted to show you. And
Bro, like, so much has come out about that movie, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like all the pages and sites that I keep up with, like, when a movie just catches, like, this wildfire of bad press, they look for every little minute detail. Somebody farted on set and they had to do a retake.
Yeah.
But it's
like that. Nah, it's everything I wrote and talking about now is just... Because I ignore that, like, certain, I guess, well, I'm only on Instagram, certain Instagram pages, they do prediction thingies. Predict what you think you're going to give the movie as a rating. And I don't give into that because doing that, you're setting up an expectation about what you're going to think about it. And, you know.
They did that a lot, too. Like, they did that with Venom and, like, Aladdin. It was they swore that those movies were just not going to. They were like, Venom is so trash, and like people are just gonna hate this.
It doesn't come out for a year.
Yeah, it's. Now I don't. Yeah, I'll predict the box office gross and all that, but I can't predict because I haven't seen it. How am I gonna?
I can't stand when people predict Rotten Tomatoes scores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Unless it's like Toy Story, like a lock for 100.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. Like people were like, I'm thinking like mid-80s. It's like, why are you thinking mid-80s?
Yeah,
like,
I just throw a number out because I'm thinking, and the whole get started on Rotten Tomatoes, that whole broken system. But
bruh.
But yeah, it's Dark Phoenix is. It'll be to give it. I want to see what happens when it gets out of theaters and he gets on into his life on video, and see if we actually find more positives about it. I'm not just gonna completely trash it. Because I saw it twice because I didn't want to be unfair with my review, and that's just how I feel about it. And
you saw Dark Phoenix twice.
I had to be sure, man.
I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, I had to be. And let me tell you, I saw it twice in the big format. No, I saw it once in the big format, Dolby Cinema, for $4. So if you got T-Mobile, take advantage of T-Mobile Tuesdays, and that's free advertisement for y'all, $1 billion company. But
for the one or two people that watch this episode,
and the being sure thing came from another superhero movie I saw, and I loved it the first time I saw it, and every subsequent time I saw it, it just fell apart. It's still a good movie, but The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
The scenes just...
Same.
Yeah.
I saw it 3 times in the theater. And, like, all 3 times I was like, that was it.
Yeah, it's just...
Did I see Rises twice?
And then I started dissecting all the plot holes in, like, just the opening thing with, like, them on the plane. I just started, like, dissecting it all, and I was like, whoa, this is garbage.
One of us has to be in the wreckage.
Yeah. Like,
but that's but that speaks to whatever movie it is. That speaks to how, in my opinion, how great a movie is and how bad a movie is. Each subsequent time, like one of my best movies of all time is Pulp Fiction. Each subsequent time that I watch it, it gets stronger. I noticed something different, something nuanced, or something that was, and a bad movie you watch is gonna be the opposite. It's just gonna fall apart. The scenes are gonna, but yeah, Dark Phoenix will. It's unfortunate.
More and more.
Yeah, I wish Logan would have been the X-Men movie, but Fox. That would have been a great going. If you haven't seen it by now, so spoiler for Logan.
It's 2 years old at that time.
So her turning the cross to an X, and it's perfect image.
Yeah.
For the whole Fox X-Men series to go out on. But oh no, there's
sorry,
more.
Deadpool 2.
There's milk in this. It was like Days of Future Past. It just could have and probably should have just been the final one. Like they went back and fixed everything.
And everything was fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Then they could have done Logan like a little bit down the line, and it could have just been like, there it is.
Speaking of which, we talked about him a lot. Any thoughts on this being the first X-Men movie that didn't have Wolverine? Yeah, it's just
it didn't really kill me because like he wasn't really in First Class, and he wasn't really in Apocalypse.
His cameo.
He played a role in Apocalypse, but he wasn't in it.
Yeah, and also that was a reshoot, that Apocalypse scene. It wasn't there first.
Yeah, and like I can't think of a way that like he would have just made it better.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It would have been a weird love triangle.
Yeah.
Well, just have him in another cameo, just
yeah. Like another cameo would have been like, there he is, and then it would have been like, get back to this shit show.
There's that guy who supposedly retired.
Yeah, that didn't bother me as much. It's almost like it was like this movie just had bad buzz from the get. Like, test screenings were bad. I still don't know why.
Twice.
Like, I want to know specifically like what the test audiences didn't like. My theory was always that they didn't like Mystique dying, and so their response to that was that they just put it in the trailer, which was horrible in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that would have made that scene 10 times better had it not. It would have been like, holy shit, did they really do that? But like instead, I knew something was going to happen.
Right. Now you can look it up. You can look up those. There are detailed readouts or whatever of the test screenings of Dark Phoenix. I actually read one because I was just curious. And as I'm sure you both know, the whole third act is reshot.
Yeah.
Several reasons. The movie, which is gotta be Captain Marvel.
If they keep that movie, they get bashed because it's just like Captain Marvel.
Yeah, so that's a no.
Now they're getting bashed because they redid it. So I mean, it was a lose-lose.
It just latched onto. It was just like the negative buzz, like from the get-go. Even from like when they announced it, they're like, "Great, they're gonna do this again." Like we've already seen.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Apocalypse wasn't great, so now we get another one." And it's like,
yeah,
you're not shelling out the money. Or it's like, let them make your movie. Like, who cares? Like that's always my thing. I'm like, what?
But then again, they had to expect. They know that we, the movie going in this day and age of social media. And then the moment we hear Simon Kinberg is going to take another shot at the Phoenix, they have to know that this bad buzz is coming.
He learned from the last one. And it's like, the only thing wrong, like, okay, like, I'm going to talk about Last Stand for a second. Because I feel like every time an X-Men movie comes out, people talk about just how horrible that one is.
And like, that's just not totally true.
Its biggest issue, it's kind of like the same thing with Spider-Man 3. It's like there's too many cooks. Like there's so many good.
Yeah.
Instead of letting it breathe.
It's got one of the shortest run times.
Yeah. We're like, let's throw all the good things in the pot, stir it up. Let's just see if it comes out. And it's like you taste it. It's like I like chocolate and I like mashed potatoes and I like orange juice and I like pizza. But like putting it all together it's not going to taste great. Like you had these good things, and instead of letting like the mutant cure thing breathe on its own, which would have been
that could have been a whole other movie.
They mixed it with the Phoenix, which again, like I think the things they did with the Phoenix stuff in The Last Stand were better than
Ish.
this. I think.
Yeah. It's not that, just like you said, it's not bad per se, like what they did with the Phoenix. It's just not, because we've all, like I mentioned, we've grown up with the X-Men cartoons and with the Phoenix Saga and that and the comic books. But there were some cool moments in The Last Stand with like the end, with him walking toward her, the Phoenix Force, and his regeneration powers is like he's the only one that could do it. But yeah, they should have. They say with the cook analogy, they should have picked and choose. They should have just left the cure thing out, or switched and left the Phoenix thing out and kept the cure. But it's just there's too much.
And look,
it's like
X-Men 3 had the post-credit scene before the MCU made it cool. That's the only thing I credit The Last Stand with. It's better than I remember, but it's still.
What is the post-credit scene? It's like, okay, like you saw that dead body or whatever on the table.
Yeah, in a coma. He was supposed to be.
How is he Patrick Stewart at the end of the Wolverine? Like, I don't.
Suppose he was supposed to be his brother.
Yeah, I heard that brother thing, but it's never confirmed. Yeah. And then,
it really wasn't hard confirmed.
Isn't his brother Juggernaut? How many brothers does Professor X have?
Yeah, but and then this is what I've put together from. So the post-credit sequence in the Wolverine is you're not the only one when he shows up. So you're not the only one that knows tricks or something along the lines of that. And I'm thinking that he is the guy, but he's just constantly projecting himself as Professor X to everybody around him, so they can see him as Sparkfetch. But
that
makes sense for a studio that never wanted to explain it.
Yeah.
That's taking 2 seconds to be like, oh, thank God I can do whatever.
And some throwaway lines.
Oh yeah, just like
yeah.
Like in Dark Phoenix, she was the old man at the bar. Remember that? Like, what was that? Like, they never really explained that. Like, I was like,
I guess she didn't want the people to know because she was wanted.
Yeah.
It's like I've never seen her do that prior to this.
Yeah, and it just it did come out of nowhere, but like you said, a throwaway line. But no, back to The Last Stand. They never really gave us an explanation, so this is what we have to do.
Pretty much.
Just speculate, yeah.
Like The Last Stand, like that was one of the things I would say. I think more things worked than didn't work. It was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like Van Danson is the most attractive person on the planet, and I thought she did great. Like just coming out, like she did it so it was like opposite of what she did with Jean Grey in the first 2 movies. It was like you're thinking like, oh, how's she supposed to come back and do it? And I thought she was really cool, and like Hugh Jackman's performance was really good. I thought Halle Berry stepped up in The Last Stand, and like Kelsey Grammer as Beast was like
perfect.
Genius.
Yeah, it's great casting.
So I don't know, like I never, and even on rewatches, like I never was like, yeah, this is pretty trash. Like I was like, The Last Stand every time is like entertaining to me. Like Iceman versus Pyro. Like the Pyro dude is the only one who got worse between the 3. He's the only one that was kill that guy.
It's like,
and it's no, go ahead, Rick.
Like Brett Ratner is like always being capable. It's kind of like F. Gary Gray in Men in Black, man. Like it maybe was just like too big of a project. Because Brett Ratner did like Rush Hour, Money Talks, The Family Man, like small scale stuff. Mm-hmm. And then you take out Mystique, you take out Cyclops, and it's a big ass movie with the shortest runtime of the series. And it might not have been what they wanted, and Bryan Singer bailed for Superman, but it's still watchable, and it still has its moments of enjoyability.
Like, it kind of circles probably the lower half in my ranking, just because there are just ones that... But it's nowhere, like, most of the early Dark Phoenix reviews were like, well, Dark Phoenix is trash, and I was like, oh no, and then I click it, and like, it's better than Apocalypse and The Last Stand. That tells you
people. But you know what? Once again, with the Post-it note mentality, the stuff that was going on behind the scene with the X-Men: The Last Stand, Singer fell out with the producer. oh, the producer, I'll show you. I'm gonna release my movie before your movie because I know you're doing Superman Returns. Bryan Singer, oh yeah, I'm
By
gonna
a
take one
month.
of my actors from your movie and put them in mine. So, you know, with Martin.
Yeah, I heard
And it's
I
just,
heard that the Iceman turned down Jimmy Olsen for I don't know, maybe like an extended role in expanded role in The Last Stand.
yeah, it's just going back and forth, and it's behind the scene personal feud stuff.
Good idea. Like, that was a good choice.
Yeah.
I was reading the two roles. And it's funny,
Yeah.
it's like the dude that played Iceman was on that show Animorphs on Nickelodeon, and I'm like the only one that remembers that because those were books. So I just remember thinking it was like cool that he would. These are the things.
Oh,
But like,
man.
who played Jimmy Olsen in Superman Returns was the kid from Jungle to Jungle with Tim Allen.
I remember him more from Not Another Teen movie.
I was like,
Yeah.
my childhood, like my kids from my childhood they're growing up and doing stuff. This is great. And like, but yeah, like Iceman, like he was a character who I thought was cool. Like, he had the tiny role in the first one, big role in the second one, and then like by the third one he turned into ice. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Like, full
Yeah.
iced out.
I was
Yeah.
like, that was a good idea to do that. They just didn't do that. It was like, I think it might have just been that early 2000s. It was like they couldn't figure out a way to do that with everybody. It was like Rogue was like the center of the first X-Men movie, and it was really cool. And by the third one, they were like, let's just have her not do shit. Like, maybe she'll get the cure, maybe she won't. But it was like,
Right.
it's like, all right, well, then what's Cyclops doing? And they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Forgot it. He's back. It's like, you know, it's like it was like too much to juggle, and now I feel like writers are getting better with that. Even in like the newer X-Men movies, like I feel like Cyclops had a little more to do, and Dark Phoenix, Storm had stuff to do, Nightcrawler, who that was like one of the biggest wastes to me. It's like X2, Nightcrawler was awesome. Like, just he was an awesome addition to the team, and then he just wasn't in the third.
Yeah, and that speaks to behind the scenes crap. Alan Cumming hated his experience working with Bryan Singer.
Did he? I heard he just didn't like
Yeah.
the makeup process.
Oh, it was that's the political answer.
Okay.
And he did have a problem with that, but he later has come out saying his Bryan Singer as director really wasn't the most pleasant
Word.
experience. Yeah,
Like,
it's out there.
Bryan Singer
Yeah.
personal legal stuff has gotten a lot of dirt on his like directorial style to come out lately.
Mm-hmm. And
I
it's
heard-
funny that later on, Brett Ratner would direct the next movie and his personal stuff.
Brett Ratner had to be worse.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, he outed. You heard he did to
Ellen Page.
Kitty Pryde. Yeah, that was just bogus.
Yeah, yeah. That was
Y'all know
fucked
about
up.
that one?
Two people in a room, and I'm like, who am I going to talk? Like, I guarantee Brett Ratner had to be worse. Like, he had to worse to be around.
And he screwed up what would have been. Yeah, Brett Ratner screwed up would have been one of the most awesome comeback moments ever in entertainment, because he was supposed to produce the Oscars and Eddie Murphy was supposed to host it.
Yep.
And then he yapped his big freaking
That would've
mouth.
been dope.
It's like, how do you let it happen? Like, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, like you said, I agree with you on that, Nick. You would think you had this obnoxious a-hole, and then you had the quiet, seemingly. Yeah, but
I heard that Rami Malek and Bryan Singer didn't get along very well.
No
That's
shit.
crazy.
Rhapsody either.
mhm.
Like, it was like in the news. Like, they would
Yeah.
work, stuff like that. That's why that movie sucked.
Hey, I heard that Dexter Fletcher was thinking about putting Remy Malek in a cameo in Rocket Man. That would have been cool.
Yeah, that'd been awesome.
I like Rock, but I think it was almost like a Justice League thing, where it's like, you know, you have a director doing something, and they typically do an okay job, and then that director has to be replaced with another director that typically does an okay job, and it's like somehow the finished product just was not. It's like too much.
Yeah.
It was like, the two styles didn't blend. That's what I think. That's like one of the overlaying things of like the X-Men. It's just like too much. It's just like it's just too much. It's like when you have a good one, and they're like, oh well, this one is gonna.
See, I don't know how to fluidly put this into casual conversation, but we all know, I don't know about listeners, viewers, but we all know that Hugh Jackman was rumored to have, or he was going to be, like, a cameo, like, in Spider-Man, but they couldn't find his suit.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That would have been cool.
It's like, just do it. But it's like, now, it's like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's like, people forget, like, the early 2000s, like, it was such a gamble. Like,
in 2002, everybody would have freaked out.
Yeah. It was like, shit. Like, that was, like, unheard of. Like, even, like, Iron Man, when it's like, I want to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, I'm like, all right, we'll see how long they can do this. I was very pessimistic about it. And then, like, by the time Avengers got there, I was like, I can't believe we made it. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're not done. And I was like,
and going back to the first movie, the X-Men, it speaks to just the overall, I mean, the studio and just the audience, the perception of how the superheroes should be seen on the screen, because, you know, the X-Men, the black leather, and they even make a joke about it.
Yeah.
Like, black leather, like, oh, what do you expect? Yellow spandex? It's just, and we don't want to get too comic booky, but we want to, and now look at it is.
Yeah, I hope, you know, the MCU isn't always comic accurate, but I hope that Wolverine has his mask. I hope Cyclops has the blue and yellow, Storm's in white. And yeah, I hope it's closer to the animated series, honestly.
And even speaking, no, sorry, Nick, at the end of Apocalypse, when they all had the costumes, and they were in the room, those look awesome. And then Dark Phoenix comes along, you got these, you know, Walmart yellow,
like, boy band suits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I can't wait to see these suits. If there's a next movie, that's one of the few things I was excited about in Apocalypse, but
I never really hated the suits. Like, people will act like that's one of the things that just broke the X-Men. They were just like, oh,
yeah, no, exactly.
And I was like, let's pretend that the MCU suits are ever comic accurate. Like a couple of them, but some of them just won't work. Like, I try to think of a way that the Wolverine suit would work live action. Like, maybe I just need to see it.
Yeah.
And I'd be wrong. But like, I'm just like, I can't picture it in my head. Like, someone looking badass wearing the helmet, like the Wolverine helmet. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I just need to see it.
They had a nod to it in the Wolverine.
The Wolverine,
deleted scene.
Yeah.
But I would have been happy with that.
It's cool sitting there, but I'm like,
but
imagining him wearing that. And I'm just like, that's pretty silly.
Yeah, he should.
It's like the eye holes. Like, that might kill it.
He should have put it on and was just like, nope, I look like an asshole, and like threw it off to the side.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know when we'll ever get to talk about this again, but speaking of MCU, I just found out something, but if y'all know, you can let me know. In Avengers Endgame, the quantum suits that the team wear are CG.
What?
I don't know if I heard that.
Why?
They didn't have so supposedly, supposedly they didn't have the final design, so they said, we're just going to film and we'll add it later.
They're like, entirely CG suits have never gone wrong in a movie prior to this. So, this is going to be great. And like, no one was like, oh my god. It worked, I guess.
Yeah.
It just seems like more expensive.
Yeah, well.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I'm
we come from the world where, you know, they spent $5,000 on computer-generated dog poop. When you could have just went to a costume novelty store. But anyway, yeah, it's just, I just thought that was just interesting because it looks, you know, the famous scene in Endgame when all walking.
Yeah.
Those suits are 100% computer-generated. What's that, Nick?
They're just wearing like regular ass clothes, like
right.
That's what I'm curious about. Like, what were they really wearing if that's true?
Yeah.
Probably those like leotards that you always see Ruffalo in.
Yeah. That's funny, but
see that them all walking in just like the skin tight, like
yeah.
Yes.
But no, X-Men is I'm curious to see what Disney's gonna do with it. And so supposedly they have the X-Men, and they now have Fantastic Four, and they got to recast and.
It's a difficult thing because it's like other things have been easy to reboot, but it's just like X-Men has been going on for 20 years. Like I feel like people rest of it, it's like even still, it's like rebooted or whatever. Even these have been going on for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's a long thing. It wasn't just like, well, we made 3 Spider-Mans. We're going to do it one real quick. Like, we did 2 years. Let's just do a new one. It's like,
So let me ask you guys,
forever.
and Nick, with that, let me ask both of you this. What do you think, now, and I would like them to take the time with the X-Men property, X-Men, Fantastic Four, all the properties they have, and reboot the entire MCU, then put them together. Because I don't think, do you think they should put the new properties, the X-Men, Fantastic Four, into the existing MCU? Or go with my idea, reboot everything, then put it back together?
I think they'll take their time and come up with a fluid way to insert them into what they've already got.
Current MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, like, they've just got too much money with, like, Black Panther and stuff like that. Like, it's Spider-Man, like Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Big money. But, like, I feel like they aren't going to be in a hurry to change anything that they already have.
Right.
But I feel like they're going to take their time adding this stuff to it. Because they said they have a 5-year plan already for Phase 4.
Yeah.
I feel like in my soul that X-Men just are not a part of that plan.
No, I mean, I would hope not, because that'll be rushing it, I think. Even, like you said, that's 20 years worth of stuff.
Because I think it was like once they found out they could get Spider-Man, they sort of rushed that. Like, not rushed, I guess, because it worked. But he is sort of, in my opinion, like the most shoehorned in character in Civil War.
But you know what they did?
Like,
they rushed it. They've admitted it. John Favreau has a new show, the Chef Show.
Yeah, I've watched a few episodes.
Yeah, and remember they asked Tom Holland, like, from I think audition to costume, how many days? Like, it was 3 days or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There's also the rumor they had like 2 different Civil War scripts based on what could happen.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, mm-hmm. And they had that with as far as I know Robert Downey Jr. Being in the movie, him not being in the movie.
Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War, and also with Spider-Man, they had different just.
Yeah.
But it's
inserting someone into a movie like Civil War, I think is easier than if they just put the X-Men somewhere or just like had one go up and move in metal and they were like, oh shit. Like, you would have to explain that later. You can't just do that.
Yeah, that's what
I think they're really gonna take their time. Maybe not, like maybe I don't know shit. Like maybe they're gonna play around with the multiverse theory in Far From Home like way more than any of us think that they are. Like it's possible.
Yeah.
The whole thing. So I don't know. Maybe they'll do Disney Plus, like a series or something. Like they seem to really be banking on that being
Dawn of the Mutants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still have mutants coming out. Allegedly. It's still on the thing. It got pushed back in.
Yeah.
When that movie finally gets released, it's gonna be an amazing thing. It's already almost 3 years since the initial teaser.
I saw that trailer in front of Ragnarok.
Right.
The only time I ever saw that trailer.
Yeah.
Did we discuss this a year too early?
Yeah, probably. Let's come back and be like, all right, now what's our favorite X-Men movie? We're already like, honestly, on rewatches, Dark Phoenix.
Honestly,
been out for like
still Logan.
Year, and like honestly, it's art.
Oh man.
Still Logan.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting, but it's that's that.
We didn't really touch on the Wolverine First Class or either Deadpool movies. Any like final thoughts y'all want to get in there?
First Class is better than I thought it was going to be when it came out. I
no
like,
doubt.
Oh God, they're doing it. Like they remade the X-Men, and then like I saw it and I was like, That was awesome.
I
I was
love
like,
this.
that was so much better than I thought it was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
First
Not
Class.
perfect. Not flawless. Like, some
Yeah.
people act like First Class is like amazing. And I'm like, it's good. It's one of the best X-Men movies, but it's solid. Like, it's good.
First Class
It
is like
could've
the
been
best X-Men movie that rarely gets love as being one of the best X-Men movies.
Yeah, it's definitely higher up. Am I right? I just like, I like that they took the time in First Class to let the characters flesh out. Like, they did all the, like, the training stuff, like when they're back at the mansion, is so good. Like, it lets you know each character and like how Xavier works with each know of his students. That it like shows how he's like this professor, and it
Character
made
building.
McAvoy like, I don't know. It's great acting work from McAvoy and Fassbender.
Yeah, and the great casting.
Yeah.
And even I give it
like,
to it was right there on with Jennifer Lawrence. That was good casting because she wasn't Jennifer Lawrence.
Blockbuster fans.
Yeah. Whoever
for
saw that
She was
was
about
good
9
casting.
months from the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
That's
And you see how that affects the subsequent movies.
Yeah.
With
Days of Future Past, all of a sudden she's the key to the universe, and I'm like, Mystique?
Yeah.
I guess.
and even so, compare the makeup between all the movies, and and especially Dark Phoenix. This is like give the C team makeup artist.
She's in it for like an hour less than normal. So just
I always didn't like the makeup either.
dump some blue Kool-Aid on her.
Yeah.
I always heard she really didn't love doing the Mystique makeup.
Yeah, you can tell,
But
man.
she loved playing the character, which is why
Right.
she did it.
And you see, for most of most of Apocalypse, she's Jennifer Lawrence and not Mystique.
Yeah.
With the makeup and
she's like, please, oh please.
Yeah.
I feel like the kid that plays Beast was probably doing the same thing. It's like, can't I just invent some bullshit that lets me be me?
now he could be him at will.
Yeah. Yeah.
McAvoy's like, can't I walk? Like, no, that's like the one thing you can't do. Hear me out. Hear me out.
They got him
I
in.
have hair and I walk. Like,
But yeah, First Class it was pretty good. Like you said, it has its flaws, but so
less. But like I think it was like almost immediate, like when it started and it was like the same kind of Auschwitz scene, almost like shot for shot. I was like,
okay.
Oh, so this really is like they're still, paying tribute to the originals, which I was kind of afraid of. I was like, they're gonna just redo the whole thing and it's gonna be different. It was, but I think First Class is one of the ones that worked. Like the Wolverine, like some people put the Wolverine too high.
Yeah.
And then but it I don't. It's like the Wolverine is good, but the absolute best thing I can say about the Wolverine is like it's better than the first Wolverine.
Which is not a hard thing to do.
Yeah, like there's great stuff in it, but as its movie, like as a part of the series, it's never one that I'm like, yes, the Wolverine, except for the bullet train.
Yeah, that's a good sequence.
It's like one of the all-time scenes of the whole thing. And like there's great stuff, and it's like he's great in the role as usual, and it gave him room to like do more fun like acting stuff with it. But other than that, it's kind of just like
I like all the samurai stuff. Like the setting and everything.
It's cool. And like, I've always been conflicted of like if that line at the end is like badass or not. He's like, sayonara. I'm like, is that cool? Is that cool? I can't say goodbye.
Yeah.
Sayonara.
But we touched on this a bit earlier. I think the Wolverine has one of the best post-credit sequences. Or mid-credit, with it. He at the airport, and then everything stops, and Magneto, then Professor X.
It leads into Days of Future Past.
Right, I think that's one of the most awesome lead-ins.
But is that also a 10-year gap? Like, when does the Wolverine take place? And then is there like 10 years of prep for the Sentinel attack?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a time. Yeah.
Why is 2023 so bad for superheroes?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
File.
Yeah.
It's like all that would have to be happening at the same time the Earth is fine with like in-game. Not fine, but like, you know, it's like, it could be worse. It could be just mutant genocide out here. And they're like, oh my god. Yeah.
So Deadpool, or the Deadpool movies.
Captain Deadpool. No, just Deadpool.
No, but Deadpool 2 is definitely the better of the two, in my opinion. And
I think Deadpool 2, I would probably rank 1 above 2, but I think Deadpool 2, it's like, kind of did the if it ain't broke approach. Like, they were like, know that the first one worked. Like, let's not try to, like, change it too much.
Yeah.
Kind of like 22 Jump Street.
yeah,
Like if we change it up too much, it runs a risk of just being bad. So I like that they didn't take enormous risks with Deadpool.
right. But they didn't take enormous risks, but definitely tried to improve upon. Because the first Deadpool, I like something they did with, and I would now in a world, Nick, you're gonna agree with me on this one. In a world where
maybe
now even though I like Bohemian Rhapsody, that movie had no business even be that movie had no business winning film editing. It shouldn't even been nominated for film editing. If you know anything about film editing, and somebody had a great example. It's just like the voters don't think about the actual best film editing. They think about the most film editing.
Yeah.
And Bohemian Rhapsody has some of the worst. It's an example everybody uses when they're sitting having a lunch with the manager. Some of the worst film editing like ever. But anyway, back to my initial point of Deadpool. Deadpool has some amazing film editing, as in you don't initially notice the first time you see it that the freeway scene is stretched out in different sections, but it works how they keep jumping back to it. And it's like they showed, I believe it's broken up into 3 sections, and they hop back to it after coming back. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then it finishes, and then it goes from that point. And I think that's just the movie that's great editing. I think that was a great way they put it together. I don't know if it was written that way, but it doesn't get the credit it deserves on that.
He wore the brown pants.
Quick scene in Days of Future Past. It was like, that was awesome. Like, that was amazing. Like, that's my favorite scene in that movie, because it was just like, it was like meticulous. It just worked. They don't pay this. Even the Apocalypse Quicksilver scene is good. Like, it's a high movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite just simply because it was like they were like, let's do a Quicksilver scene that's, you know, bigger. Just make it bigger and like more ridiculous. Like, it worked. Right. It just wasn't probably quite as good just because it's the first time they did that.
You didn't expect it, and
Hurt the dude's cheek. Like, that was awesome. Yeah, Deadpool 1. I love Deadpool 1, like, as much as pretty much anybody. But it was like one of those things where people came out of it like over exaggerating a little bit. I think like it's just the greatest superhero film in cinematic history. I was like,
it wasn't, but
I was like, it's so good. It's such a great example of why like we should take a little more risks with our superhero movies and like branch out and do these characters. But I was like, come on, like I was like, it's not like the greatest. They're like, this is the greatest movie of 2016. I was like, it's February. Like, let's try.
It was one of my favorites.
It's like always in my. I think it landed in my top 10 that year too, because it was great. Like, everything about it was like great, but it was like one of those things where that's always kind of in my head. Like, every time I watch it, I was like, yeah, this is great, but like, remember how overhyped it was? And I think Deadpool 2 didn't suffer from that as much. Like, Deadpool 2 was just like, we don't even really care. Like, we're just going to go see Deadpool 2. And I thought Deadpool 2 was almost as good as Deadpool 1. If not at.
That's
like, I'd give them about the same ranking. Or like the same.
And the thing about, I like what they did, and it plays the tone of the Deadpool movies, the marketing. I was like, oh yeah, X-Force. Because I don't know if you remember the marketing materials, they actually, spoilers, again, Deadpool 2.
They've had time.
There's some people out there that's going to stumble across, spoilers. So the X-Force, in the materials, they actually had them like Terry Crews and all of them actually on the ground getting ready to fight.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you actually seen it in the movie.
They died.
Whole thing, like as that bit went on, I was like, "Oh, they're all dying." Like,
yeah.
I was like, "Oh, none of them are doing any." Like the dude in the wood chipper. Like, I was like, "This is beautiful." Like
I was like, "Oh, they got my boy. I forget his name. I'm sorry, Pennywise."
I was about to say, did Pennywise go in the wood chipper?
That was hilarious. Like I started catching. I was like, they're all dying. Like that's like the.
And he doesn't only go in the wood chipper. He goes in the wood chipper, and the guy tries to help him.
He throws up on him.
It's just like, but no, Deadpool 2 last appearance officially, technically, of Wolverine.
Technically,
because he went back and.
Yeah, and they used archive footage, but nonetheless.
Like,
and I don't see how Brad Pitt didn't get awards for Vanisher. He was just so good.
That's just so random,
right?
Yeah, like the whole thing with Peter, like that made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Like he was like, "Oh, you're it," and then he's just jumping out of the like that shit was hilarious.
Yeah. And looking at the picture, I felt like I'm in catfish.
Yeah, like that was very good. And like Josh Brolin really had a banner year that year.
Yeah.
Like he wouldn't have been my number one choice for Cable, but I wasn't mad at his.
Yeah. I think everybody wanted Stephen Lang, but yeah, like Brolin killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's why the director left. Well, he didn't want Stephen Lang. He wanted the actor. I forget his name. The original director.
Tim Miller.
Tim Miller. Yeah. He wanted. I forget. The guy, he's in the new Godzilla, and he's
Kyle
from
Chandler.
the show. Yeah.
That's who I was thinking, but I didn't want to say it and be wrong.
Yeah. I guess they fell out over that.
Coach from Friday Night Lights?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's who Tim Miller wanted.
I can't even picture that, though.
No.
I can't picture him being, like, jacked.
I
can do that.
I can see his demeanor to have why Tim Miller would have wanted him, but... Yeah.
I mean, I think it was weird that he was in Godzilla King of the Monsters, but he was also in Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Aside. Is that the same guy? Probably not.
Oh, man.
Is that his dad? Maybe.
But, yeah, but...
I can't imagine him calling Deadpool a blood puppet.
Yeah.
It's a blood
he was,
puppet.
like, funny. Like, he was in Game Night. He was funny.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, maybe. We'll never know, probably.
Yeah,
Let's really just reboot all of X-Men and just be like, you know what? We're done with Deadpool. Sorry, we're gonna reboot Cable, Kyle Chandler.
And speaking of casting possibilities, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman wasn't the original choice.
I know.
So thank John Woo and Tom Cruise for giving us Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
They went with him, Dougray Scott, whatever. He turned it down. And then the studio or somebody wanted Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
That's what I've always heard. And Russell Crowe couldn't do it. He was filming some dumbass movie. Gladiator.
Sword and Sandals.
And he suggested
Hugh Jackman.
Like his buddy.
Yeah.
That's like a miracle. It's like, you know Hugh Jackman. How did you know somebody that was like perfect for Wolverine?
Right.
That's like one of those things where it was like
no, but the thing I heard,
like he had all these alternate reality. I was like, that could have gone wrong, but it just didn't.
Stars aligned.
Yeah, but no, that's interesting. And even in the first movie, you can see it was such a last minute choice that the scene when Hugh Jackman in the first X-Men movie, when he wakes up at the mansion and he's running around in the hallway. Look how skinny Hugh Jackman is.
It's not like...
Yeah. Then compared to the first scene when he's fighting in the cage, which was shot later, he has a little bit of muscle on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you watch X-Men, like, walking around the mansion, like, fighting all the dudes. He's like...
Yeah, and when he started to get into shape.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Any thoughts on like who could replace the X-Men? Like if they recast, like,
it's gonna be some new people.
Yeah, like I fully
Everything
trust
besides
Marvel's
the Hulk.
casting, but I couldn't cast.
Yeah. And it's people, people out there. Oh, they should Tom Hardy should be Wolverine. No,
God, I
Tom
hate
Hardy
that.
would not be a good Wolverine.
No,
like,
you would
am I the
not.
only one that sees that? Or like Keanu Reeves.
Yeah,
Like,
Keanu Reeves came up. I'm like, Keanu Reeves, 53 years old.
He would be a trash Wolverine. Okay, I'm gonna put this on the record.
Whoa, bub.
Like, talk about Wolverine, like Keanu Reeves. Like, are we really gonna pretend that Keanu Reeves is like a great actor?
He's not. No.
It's like that's like the thing. Like everybody loves Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu.
Yeah.
I don't think he tries to do material outside of his range very
I think
often.
that's what lends itself. I think that's why we love him so much.
Like, are we gonna
Sticks to what he
pretend that
knows.
he's only ever done good movies now for the rest of our lives?
Now he's not. People talk about this great actor thing. Definitely not. But he's not a bad actor. He's just such a wooden actor because he did do Bill and Ted and Point Break in the same year.
That's true.
He's
been like. I thought I don't know if you guys saw Always Be My Maybe. Probably not.
Not yet. I heard that was a good
because it's so exaggerated, like a version of himself, that it's like I text my friend while I was watching. I was like, this might be the best he's ever been in a movie, just because it's like as Neo. That's not a performance. That's just like him being Neo. Like he's wow.
Yeah.
Like Speed, he's just enthusiastic. Yeah. But like this, he's like doing all kinds of weird shit, and it's like really funny.
Yeah, I gotta watch that. I did want to see it.
Like I'm gonna say that right now.
But you know what? Somebody we damn near got into an argument. I think Keanu Reeves' best performance. I haven't seen Always Be My Maybe yet. But I think I don't know about the accent, but the performance is good. What's that?
Dracula. No.
Where are we
the
going?
Devil's Advocate.
Oh, okay. I was thinking. I like Dracula.
I thought he was going Dracula too.
Now that Southern accent, like I'll win. Now, I don't know about that too much, but I'm talking about his range of emotions that he displays in that movie.
I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I need to get back.
Mm-hmm.
A little mini.
Check it out again and watch how underrated that performance is in
I was like that.
Keanu Reeves' performance. And then he's acting opposite Al Pacino, and he steps his game up. The other person I was already like you don't have any choice. Now some people have acted with Al Pacino and they've done a not too good job. You do have a choice. And
Adam Sandler stepped it up when he was with Al Pacino.
Yeah, which he did not.
Indeed.
In
a dual role.
He was in that movie. So, yeah, I think that's probably Keanu Reeves' best performance, pound for pound, as an actor.
Until next weekend. Duke Kaboom will not be seconded.
I'm excited for that.
So excited.
So, man. But yeah, recasting the X-Men, that's gonna be because it's gonna be way down the line, and
that's why I think it's gonna. That's one of the reasons it's gonna take so long. It's like I don't think anybody wants that job. Like nobody is like wants the tech because
they're drawing straws at Disney.
Yeah,
like I can't picture anybody else. It's like people are like Scott Eastwood. It's like you picture him
gross
like Wolverine. I can't picture him being Wolverine. Same with Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy's a really good actor in those things, but I can't picture him being Wolverine.
I could see Scott Eastwood more as Cyclops.
Yeah.
And even with all that, people, even with Eastwood, he's mid-30s, people are going too old.
I think
the
MCU, still are skewing older. To give people, the beginnings of franchise. It's like Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
In his late 20s, maybe early 30s. But he's, already in
40.
He's 41.
Yeah. He's already, and, Cumberbatch. And, Paul Rudd is 50 now. He could be, 39, maybe early 40s.
Right. So they're lucky on these very youthful-looking actors.
Every time I get on the scale, I think I can play Beast or Blob.
And I'm glad they cast an actual, at the time, teenager for Spider-Man.
Is it offensive if I body shame myself?
Nah,
I don't know if social media rules anymore.
I was offended that you would say something so bad about yourself. I was offended for you.
Show canceled. Yeah. Tom Holland's like 21, 22 right now. He's about to be in like his 4th MCU movie already.
Yeah.
He still looks very young. Like he looks like he in high school.
Even with the 5-year time jump.
Yeah. Like he and Zendaya too is another one who I feel like is probably 21, 22, something I don't know. But if you told me she was 16, I'd be like, oh. Well,
Wikipedia Zendaya 37.
Yeah. But I think Tom Holland's going to be doing it for a long time. If I had to guess, if they're going to keep doing stuff, I think he's going to.
Unless Sony ruins it.
They don't.
Yeah, that deal.
They don't ruin franchises this weekend. Right now, as we speak. So.
Cool, man. But I know y'all got stuff to do, man. So I'm about to wrap this up. Drop comments, audio messages, man, at the Nick Goodman, at Sigmund Cinema. If you want to fan cast X-Men, we'll chop it up in a future episode if we can get some comments, reactions, man. When I come back, I think we're going to talk about the Toronto Raptors. Anthony Davis did something over the weekend, man. Rec League Podcast. Hey. Hope y'all enjoyed the X-Men discussion. Got a little lengthy. I tried to keep it on the rails, but we got a little off topic, but it always came back to X-Men. We getting better. I mean, it's Rec League Podcast, man. We know a little bit, man. We ain't professionals. That's what I be saying. But we know enough to hold court. So, the NBA Finals started and are finished, and it went 6 games. Toronto Raptors won. Shocked everybody that isn't a Raptors fan. And Kawhi Leonard won MVP, man. Board man gets paid. And I believe I picked. I look like the biggest idiot of them all. I think old man Lawrence said Warriors in 6 or 7. I said Warriors in 4 or 5. So my foot is all the way in my mouth, metaphorically speaking. And the Raptors dominated this series, all props. I'm a sports fan. You give credit where it's due. The Raptors dominated this series. And this was just the year that Golden State got caught by injuries. 5 straight finals. It was bound to happen. And they're not crying. Their fans might be saying, well, if we had KD, if Clay didn't get hurt game 6, if Boogie was 100%. But I mean, that's the nature of sports, no matter what the game is. Guys get hurt. When you're playing from October to June, 5 straight years, guys are gonna get hurt. It's wear and tear. If it wasn't for that game 2 20-0 run, Boogie being productive, if it wasn't for game 5, threes actually dropping, Steph and Clay being Steph and Clay in crunch time in game 5, it could have been a sweep. I mean, it could have been a sweep. It could have been Raptors in 5, but it was Raptors in 6. And the bummer for the city of Oakland and that Warriors team, the legends, is that Oracle Arena closes with another team winning the championship. They open a new arena next season in a different city, and there's no banner to hang. You don't know who's gonna be there. Kevin Durant hurt, ruptured Achilles. Excuse me. He tried to come back, and KD, of course we don't know Kevin Durant personally. But we know through the media that he pays attention to the little people. He takes comments to heart. He takes negativity to heart. And he always feel like he got something to prove. So I like Kevin Durant, man. In my opinion, Kevin Durant wanted to do what he had to do to get his team a win, to win the championship, to get the Warriors, the city, the team, the franchise, to add to that storied history. And it got hurt, man. It's nobody's fault. It's like I said, it's the nature of the game. Like ESPN and whoever, the talking heads went, well, did the Warriors pressure him? But Kevin Durant is a grown man. He could have come out and been like, no, I'm not comfortable. I want to wait another game or two, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knows your body better than you do. And, like, it sucks. It sucks. Because he can sign a 1-year deal, stay with the Warriors, rehab, come back for the playoffs, whatever seed they finish, and see what they can do in the playoffs. He can go to another team and get a fat contract, and that team is just basically, like, taking an L. Like, yeah, like, come here, get paid, and when you get back, we'll make a run. Klay Thompson, Game 6, torn ACL. He's probably going to miss all next year, too. He doesn't have a 1-year cushion fallback plan. So who knows, like, if Golden State's just going to be like, yeah, you're going to be here with us rehabbing next year, but you'll stay, get paid. Like, I can see Golden State re-signing Klay, no question. I don't know about the rest of the league. It'd be cool if he went to the Lakers just because of his dad, but I don't know if I see him leaving the Warriors. And then, like, Curry got buckled down, man. Like, whether it was Kyle Lowry or Fred VanVleet, Steph Curry was kind of getting locked down aside from a couple breakouts. And, Looney got hurt. Cousins was never 100% all season. Bogut is slow for today's NBA. Like, Draymond was trying, but, man, like, the Raptors were damn near clicking on all cylinders. Like I said earlier, Kawhi Leonard, man, I've always liked Kawhi Leonard. Y'all know I'm from Indiana, and y'all know, like, for those people who, like, don't know the ins and outs and, like, behind the scenes of the NBA draft, nobody really knows had San Antonio not said, or, like, maybe the Pacers initiated. Like, I don't even know. If the Pacers didn't say, hey, Spurs, we'll give y'all this pick if y'all give us George Hill. And they was like, okay, cool, draft Kawhi Leonard. Had we not wanted George Hill, who knows who we would have taken? There's nobody that knows outside of that draft war room. If we had Kawhi Leonard on the board, man, we could have had Paul George and Kawhi Leonard had we possibly had Kawhi Leonard on the board that year. But then I think we might have been, well, we had young Darren Collison too, and he was money. He still is. If we keep him, like, I'm not gonna hate it, but there's rumblings the Pacers could maybe holler at D'Angelo Russell. But Kawhi Leonard was everywhere in the finals. Like, I love his demeanor. He been playing hurt since the Sixers series at the very earliest. And he went out there every day and gave it his all. And when they achieved that mission, he finally showed emotion. And, like, this already been discussed in group chats. We got to stop the Kyle Lowry slander. Because after game 1 against Orlando, he played consistent. And he was amazing in the finals. He went when the skirmish happened between the old rich white dude in Golden State first row, who I will go on wax and say he should be banned. He didn't get banned. He got a year suspension. He got to give up a little bit of chump change. That dude should never be able to attend NBA functions again. But Kyle Lowry kept his poise. He went back in the game. His teammates talked him down. And he was good the whole finals. Like, maybe at least games 3 through 6, he was killing. So yeah, like, no Kyle Lowry slander. Fred VanVleet was clutch when he needed to be. Chipped a tooth. Got them stitches. Like it's dope. Like, Kawhi Leonard got championships. So in my opinion, like, it's real dope that dudes like Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, even Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. It's dope to me that them dudes got a championship. And that's another reason why I don't want to talk no hip hop, because the biggest story in hip hop right now is that Toronto Raptors ambassador Drake, was on the sidelines, been walking around since the end of the finals with the trophy. I don't even care to listen to them songs he dropped. I'm not a Drake fan. But man, this was a good series. Like this was a really good final series. And moving on, a little something happened the other day. I don't know if you guys have heard of Anthony Davis. He's the dude that played for the New Orleans Pelicans. He got one eyebrow, and he got traded to the LA Lakers. It might be a big deal. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart got traded. This year's Lakers number 4 first round pick got traded. And the trade doesn't go through until the 6th of July, I want to say, I heard. But if another team besides the Lakers picks at 4, or if the Lakers pick at 4 and then they say it's traded to New Orleans, which is traded to whichever team, doesn't that approve the trade? Doesn't that cement that Anthony Davis is going to the Lakers? And I'm sorry, this instantly, I don't care who the Lakers sign after this instantly puts the Lakers the 2 seed in the West at worst. Even if LeBron gets injured again. I mean, even if LeBron goes down, the worst case scenario, LeBron goes down and AD goes down, then yeah, something's going to happen. The Lakers should have made the playoffs had Lonzo and LeBron not got hurt. They would have been a home court playoff team. They got hurt, they missed the playoffs. It's the nature of the beast, like I said earlier. If Anthony Davis and LeBron James both stay healthy, they're going to get one of the top 2 seeds. I think they also signed either Jimmy Butler or Kyrie Irving or Kemba Walker. Maybe not 2 of those, but at least one. And then a bunch of Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee role guys. The Lakers are going to be good next year, and I'm kind of excited to see it. I want to say, I put it on Twitter, I put it on the social medias. Who might the Lakers sign in addition to who they already have? Old Man Lawrence thinks that they'll finish with a high seed, and they're going to sign. Guys want to play. The rumor is that Kyrie Irving wants to play with Anthony Davis, but I mean, the rumor was that he wanted to play with Kevin Durant. The rumor is also that he signed to Rock Nation Sports as far as agency, and that they have connections to the Nets. Nobody knows until the ink's dry, man. Yeah, man, my guy, Old Man Lawrence says yes, they win the West, or at least make it to the Western Conference Finals. At Jason T Law 83 says that doesn't make sense. It's homies, you know what I'm saying? We family. And in my guy TN 0409 thinks that they get Klay Thompson. So shout out to them. Appreciate the responses. I think that the Lakers get Jimmy Butler. I don't know who they get at point, unless they re-sign Rondo. If they re-sign Rondo, that's still deadly. The Lakers are gonna be a fun watch next year. The trade on New Orleans side, because I swear I was gonna go to the next segment and not talk about how this impacts the Pelicans. It all depends on how Lonzo and Brandon Ingram can't come back. Because I don't know if it was nerves or I don't know. Brandon Ingram caught the same thing Chris Bosh caught. I don't know if it was equilibrium and his balance. I don't exactly know what the injury was. But it's career threatening. So he's got to come back healthy for this to have any impact for the Pelicans. They'll get Zion. They're likely going to trade Drew Holiday, man. So their whole team's going to look different. Everybody calling them the New Orleans Lakers, because they still got Julius Randle. But actually, within the last couple hours, I think it was reported Julius Randle is going to be a free agent. So, I mean, he could be a free agent and re-sign. Who knows? But yeah, like dope NBA final series. Like huge trade. I already can't wait for October for next NBA season, man. So when I get back, man, I hope y'all ready for these bars, man. Rec League. Yo, I don't too much care how it goes when you freaks are alone. I don't give too many bunny ears, but I put the piece to your dome. I hear these other rappers and I just don't feel it. Motherfuckers eat string cheese and they don't even peel it. They say they got bars, I say they ain't shit. Bitch, all my bars hot. Klay Thompson, game 6. I am the best. Went inside my own mind and I murdered the doubts. Trash rappers run to bash me from they burner accounts. I never let them observe this. They mesmerized by my verbiage. The kid's 3-month check coming up and I'm getting a little nervous. Bitch, don't ever doubt me. I bounce back shooting like Kyle Lowry. Doing dirt like a mudslide. They won't get the better of me one time. Flow simply shine like it's sunlight. Spit something is the war cry, but these dudes is all tongue-tied. Always on the move and laugh at who stayed. I'm cool with nothing to do, cause bored man gets paid. Bored man gets rings. They see us win and it stings. We always play for chips, and they Sacramento Kings. With a crown with no blings. Kawhi breed. Two-way player with the claws. Keep talking shit and we get in your wife draws. You gon' shut the fuck up if you wanna keep that melon on. Rec League motherfucker with more rings than a telethon. The flow is cold, yo. Fuck a Old Town Road. So everybody chill until the next episode.